Hello there and welcome to the second episode of our OO9 project, the Honey Line. Last episode we did some world building, we did some planning on any Rails, and we talked about how we were going to fund this project. We've traded in a bunch of Engage stuff at Rails of Sheffield. That's given us enough credit to essentially buy all the track we needed, as well as a couple of other bits as well. So we're going to look at that in the beginning of this episode, and then we're going to move on to actually building up our foundations for our scenery and for our track. So this is the haul in its entirety. It came to just under £190. With the trade-ins, I managed to get £115, which was a little bit low. I thought if I sold it privately, I could have got a little bit more, but it's trading. But luckily, the Engage starter set, they let me exchange that against what I was purchasing. So that was another £76, call it. So I managed to basically, for a change, go to a model train shop and spend nothing and still come out with a bit of credit as well as a bunch of stuff. So we'll look at it kind of track wise first. First of all, we got the ST400 starter set, which we'll look into a bit more detail later on in the video when we go to our live in inverted commas. This is the core of our set. It's got the points, it's got the straights, it's got the curves that we need to essentially make the base of the track. Now, these next two items, we got a set of streamline points, which again we'll look at in more detail later on in the video. They're the same price as the points that I wanted. I wanted the shorter points, the same left-hand points that come in the starter set. They didn't have any of those in stock, so we went with these. There's some slight bonuses to this. These are Electro Frog points, which I don't really like Electro Frog points. They're not necessary for what I use, but we've got them, and we managed to amend the track anyway. But yeah, so they were like £16.50, which is not too bad for brand new points. They didn't have in the double curves that I wanted, so I bought a set of ST403s, which are the single curves, and with some chopping and changing, we can make those fit. You get 8 in a pack, you get 4 double curves in a pack. The single curves are a couple of quid more, £22 against £19. But yeah, it worked well, and it kind of it fits the purpose, as you will see in episode 3, I think it is, because it's all been pre-recorded for a change. I'm being organised. We also got 2 lengths of SL400 code 80 narrow gauge irregular 009/HOE Pico Streamline Flexi Track. That's a mouthful. So this is the irregular sleepers. I wanted the irregular sleepers. Unlike a lot of other flexi tracks that I've worked with, including stuff from Pico, this is really good. 2 lengths of that. I think it's £6 odd a length. So that again worked out well. So they were everything that we needed to get started. But as I said, we had more money to play with than I actually needed. I think I needed £138.50. In total, I had 190 to play with. So we got. I've been looking at this for ages because I think it's an awesome bit of silly fun. It's the OO9 box wagon, box van equivalent. I don't know all the terminology for OO9 stuff, but this is the box wagon. It's the Henderson's relish one. It comes free with a small bottle of the Henderson's. Is it Henderson's Rails Lead Berries? I don't know. It's just stuff you put on your cheese toasties. That was £27.95. I might end up painting this wagon. That might be a future video, but I do quite like it. It does say return to Sheffield as well, which does make me smile a bit. Anything that's local, I always like to see. Then we got in the pre-owned section, in the little pre-owned bit, the Rails of Sheffield has got a really good selection of pre-owned stuff, all sorts of different gauges. There was a Gauge Master like scenery set. I can't remember what it's called, but it comes with a bunch of trees, because I'm going to need some trees. They're not the best trees in the world, but they'll work. One of the static grass puffer bottles, which I've been wanting to play with one of those for a while. I have got a battery operated static grass applicator, but the puffer bottles, I like stuff like that. A bit more manual, less faff, less plugging in, less things to go wrong. It's got a bunch of little bits of flock in it, some glue, whether or not the glue's going to be any good, and then it's got a grassy matte patch which looks quite good quality. We'll probably start looking at that when we start doing more of the scenery stuff, because that could save some time. If I can't use it on this project, I'll use it on another. The trees will definitely get used, or some of the trees will anyway. And that was £16.50. And then finally, obviously, the missus has been feeling a bit under the weather. She has got the dreaded cold, so we went to McDonald's. And I can't help myself. Every time I go around McDonald's, you have the coffee stirrers. Now, at the Bosworth Model Railway Show, I was talking to a gent there, and he said coffee stirrers are the best things for scratch building anything. And he says if you see them, grab them whenever you can. So that's what I did. I grabbed a bunch of coffee stirrers, and we got a spare straw, which straws can be useful for stuff, especially the paper ones, the mouldable. You can use them, if nothing else, for feeding wires through if you're ever doing wires on your points. So yeah, that's the kind of the haul. As I said, it came to about 180 quid, 184 quid, something like that. And I've still got a little bit of change, which is all good. Next up then, let's go through a list of just some materials I got together for the project. So we've done the planning, we roughly know what we're doing now. I decided to get some easy to hand materials that can potentially be useful. So we've already mentioned straws, useful for feeding wires through and things like that. Then we've got an assortment of wooden food related items, coffee stirrers and stuff like that. These are going to be probably used for partly building the bridge, doing some framework on the bridge, because the bridge is going to be wooden. So they'll all come in useful. I've got quite a nice little stash at the minute. I've got a feeling I'm going to have to either buy some or go out and get some more. Lollipop sticks. These come from the works mainly. They're £1. They're good for making structures. They're a bit thick for like narrow gauge planking, but you can get away with them for something. So I'm thinking part of the bridge, a bridge is going to be built by using big thick planks. So these might come in for that. They're also useful for, as you can see, some of those I use them for sticking things to and spraying them when I'm doing spraying, priming models and stuff like that, and stirring as well. Always useful. We've got some wooden dowels. I can't remember if these came from Hobbycraft or the Works. I think they came from the Works. Again, £1 a packet. These have been really useful in scratch building stuff. Probably going to be for trusses on the bridge, just as well in general as support. So holding things up if you need to make some frames and stuff like that. Then we've got some matchsticks. I've been building quite a few things with matchsticks lately. I did a Metcalf brewery kit not so long ago, and I made a load of the interior. Not that you can actually see it in the Metcalf kit. I made some stairs, which that was an epic struggle making stairs out of matchsticks. But they are almost the perfect scale for, or perfect width for, little tiny people's feet. And I made some pallets and things like that. So again, probably planking for the bridge, the kind of like cross supports and stuff like that. We've got, these are just random bits that'll probably not get used, but they are potential. So this is back from the steampunk days when I used to make steampunky bits. Bunch of cogs, basically cogs and gears. Can be useful if you're dotting them around, depending what sort of buildings we go with. Or you could put them in wagon loads, work well as scrap or as kind of like machined parts that are being ferried up the line for replacement and building new winch systems and stuff like that. Again, going to the Nick Lira's stuff, the Paraguay episode. Everything is powered, or was powered, by steam, wood burning steam, not coal burning steam, wood burning steam. And a lot of they've got like the steam operated cranes, steam operated winches. So like there's always a lot of gears and stuff like that going on in there. So potentially useful. Cocktail sticks, don't leave home without them. I use cocktail sticks a lot in modelling projects, especially when working with foam. And polystyrene and foam board and stuff like that, because these will stick into the ground, they'll stick into the piece, and they're really good at holding things in place. And yeah, they're just really useful cocktail sticks. I need to buy some more because I've nearly used all my cocktail sticks. And again, you could make a fence out of cocktail sticks, nip the ends off, tie some string between them. You've got kind of like a bit of a makeshift fence. Then there's a variety of marking tools. So we've got like the old faithful wooden ruler, scalpel, razor saw, a variety of different coloured Sharpies, mechanical pencil. I like mechanical pencils. They are one of the best inventions in the world. Used obviously for marking stuff out and measuring stuff and stuff like that. It got used quite a bit in this project. The razor saw. I'd not really used the razor saw much before I started this project, and it's come in clutch quite a few times. And then this is Sergeant Scales. Now, Sergeant Scales is my scale, how big to make things, because I struggle with sometimes the size of 00, because it's small and I usually build big. I'm used to building, your wargaming size scale, which is what, heroic 32mm, I think they call it now. So it's much bigger. So I tend to default to building stuff that big, and then when you do it in 00, it's massive, and especially narrow gauge. Like I was playing with some different tunnels and stuff like that, tunnel portals, and I found that they're brilliant for 00, like mainline standard gauge, but then narrow gauge it's just completely dwarfs it. Which brings us on to his next bit. I got a variety of different scenery pieces, and these aren't scenery that we're necessarily going to use. The farmy thatched roof buildings, probably. The windmill, maybe. The tunnel, we did play with the tunnel portals, but too big. So yeah, these are basically, again, scale aids, working out what works well and what works where. Then, oh my god, so much polystyrene and cardboard. I dragged out my entirety of polystyrene and cardboard supplies. So there's offcuts of foam board. This is obviously just a small sample of what I've got. I've got like a good chunk, let's say. Then I printed out the scale plans for any rails, the actual track plan, so we can lay that down, and this came in really useful for the initial planning, and post-it notes. Post-it notes are really useful because, as you can see here, not for much this stage, but for marking out where you want things, writing ideas down and stuff like that. You can do it without marking the paper, because a lot of the time when you've marked your templates, your ground sheets, that's it, it's marked forever. As I did a little bit with the AnyRails sheets, you put post-it notes on, you can move it around as and when things go up. So that's the materials that we're working with. Let's get into actually what we started doing. All right, so this is the couple of bits that I did before I started recording. Semi-live on location, let's say. So I did a bit of a clear out around the room, cleared a bunch of stuff away. We marked out where the controller needed to go on this edge of the board. The Model D Gauge Master controller is the biggest controller I've got, and we put down a wiring channel down the side just as a safe space, because my plan is, instead of having all the wires dangle underneath, is maybe put them down the side. That might change now. I don't know, because I'm going to have to drill some holes anyway. So we marked out where the controller needed to be. Either which way, I need that space reserving, and then we laid out and taped together the entirety of our AnyRails track plan. As you can see there, I've just used masking tape, laid everything out as best I can, and we'll go into that in a little bit more detail now. We've now got the AnyRails template together, because I printed it off on a 1-to-1 scale. It's a rough template because my printer, for whatever reason, hates doing borderless printing. So I've roughly matched it up. It gives me an idea of what space the track's going to take up without it being too... It's easier to move. I can just fold it up and move it out when I want to do the layering and the modelling and the stuff like that, and it's not risking damage to like fish plates and stuff like that. Because, you know, one thing I've found about Pico track, especially the smaller N-gauge stuff, is it doesn't seem to like to be taken apart and put together and taken apart and put together. The fish plates very quickly seem to stretch and wear, and I've done it as they advise, lay it down flat and slide it together. I've tried supporting everything. Just doesn't seem to like it, especially when you're doing a project which involves picking track up and moving track. You're going to get some bends, you're going to get some flex, and stuff like that. So now what I need to do is kind of decide on heights. So what would be really cool is if on the bridge section down here, which is this bit that's kind of got the hatchings across in, is just tall enough for a figure to be able to pass underneath it, because then we can play with the idea of some walking trails and stuff like that. And then that be this area, this end be the level plane. I'm playing with the idea of, to give it the idea of so it's a constant run uphill, getting a slight gradient that goes round and then kind of down. It goes up slightly to about here, levels out, and then carries on going up. The problem with that is, because I did some experimenting with our little narrow gauge train,
and it does not like inclines 1 iota. So yeah, we're going to probably be looking at a 1% gradient, or less, which over a short span of track is going to be like, because to even get it up to 1 centimetre, which is 10 millimetres of a span that's kind of like that, is going to be difficult. So we might just have to do a very sort of couple of mil up, give that impression that it's going up and it's coming down. But that's a nicety. It's not necessarily a necessity. I can model around the track by kind of like doing, obviously we've got the bridge here, but the bottom of this bit here is a cut in, and that cutting gradually plateaus out as it hits the tunnel. I mean, there's not a massive amount to play with anyway. So there's things we can do to give that impression. But yeah, so I'm going to play with that now, and using Sergeant scales, get some idea of heights. I think we're probably going to be looking at I think he's about 2.5 centimeters tall. Is our Sergeant scales. So we're probably going to have to go 3-4 centimeters up. So that's 30 or 40 mil up to give it that clearance. Which is what? A couple of sheets of polystyrene. I mean, that polystyrene stacked up in the corner there, that's probably 30 mil, maybe 20-30 mil. So yeah, so I will have a play, and we'll come back in a minute when I've got an idea. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. Just for a minute, we've hit a minor problem. So this little blue ditty here is my trusty old hot foam wire cutter, which I can't even remember how long I've had it. It's been through at least one house move, and I've been living here nearly 10 years. And it's fantastic. You can do some great effects with this. I'll throw up some pictures. It's what I use to basically cut polystyrene a lot of, and it's good for sculpting and moulding polystyrene and stuff like that. Obviously, see, I have a lot of polystyrene. It's currently all spread out because I've been trying to find the right size sheets to basically get the rise that we want. But yeah, that's not happening. The other benefit of this is the fact that it doesn't make much mess. You can use a knife, you can use a saw. I've cut polystyrene with a razor saw. There's a razor saw up there somewhere. But you can cut it with a scalpel. Obviously, it does dull your blades quite quick. It doesn't need to be a massively sharp blade, but if it's not, you do end up snagging the edges, which is not the problem, because basically for this we're trying to build up a base layer. But the foam cutter, I plugged it in and turned it on, and the little transformer cable, there's the ever so slightest little plink noise, and then there was no more power, and I don't have an adapter or a plug socket to be able to run my little wand, and it's about 9:30 at night as it stands at the minute, so it's a bit late to be getting the old saw out and cutting this polystyrene. And the other thing is, like, obviously all modelling projects get messy. This stuff is great, but it's basically thousands of little balls all together. And kind of like heat pressed, I think, or it's got some sort of glue in it, and you know, that's why when you snap it, it bubbles. So it does make a mess. I mean, I've cut one length of this piece, and it's essentially made. I might not even be able to see it, but you know, it's made this, and that's just one length, and this stuff gets everywhere. And this is kind of like not just a modelling room. It's kind of like where the computers are and stuff like that, and you end up traipsing it all through the house, which, you know, we have a hard enough problem in life with 4 dogs and a million animals and other things going on, especially in the middle of the winter, without them 1,000 little balls. Look, there's more there. It's everywhere. So, what I thought, let's just move back a little bit. An apology for the lighting again. I need to get a light sorted out in this area. That light doesn't work. I think it's probably because of my wiring was a bit shonky. But yeah, that's by the by. So, I was thinking we could potentially use, this is expanding foam. It's Gorilla Filler. It's basically expanding foam. I've got quite a few tubs of that. I was thinking, well, what I could do is make a jig around the base, and then fill the areas that I wanted to fill. The problem with that, again, is expanding foam can get seriously messy. There is a knack to it, a knack that I don't necessarily have, based on past experience of filling things with expanding foam. So without doing a full cut down, a full clear down of everything, which I don't really want to do, because that's just adding more time to it, it's not necessarily a good idea. I will be using probably some expanding foam to make some rock surfaces, but I've got some plans for that. Maybe do them outside, and then bring them in and glue them in, sort of thing. Because there's a couple of things that are a bit hard to get down. One of which is second chance sidings. That's another ongoing project. I don't really want to get that covered in expanding foam. It will. There's some stuff on the big layout table and that. So yeah, and the second problem is we've got what feels like a room full of polystyrene, but not quite all at the right lengths and thicknesses to be able to make the correct height and make it a solid base. Now, a couple of thoughts I had. As you can see, this is already basically topped with foam, this baseboard. I could just add on some thin big sheets because I want it a relatively solid platform, which are these ones at the back, the one with the black line on, and then cut down, because that's about 2 centimetres. That will make it another 2 centimetres. That'd give me roughly the height that I wanted, but that's going to be a lot of mess and a lot of faff, because when I glue things down, they is glued for life. And so yeah, so I'm a bit disappointed, because I'm kind of wanting to crack on with this, but at 9:30 at night, there's not much options. So I think what the best bet's going to be for now is to essentially leave it for tonight, and then tomorrow see if I can get someone to take me to B&Q, because they do some loft 50mm thick, so 5cm thick loft insulation boards, which are £7 each, which I could essentially get 2 of those, cut them down with a saw, which is a lot less mess, a lot less faff. And then do that, and that gives me my solid base. And I can also carve those and then use all this polystyrene to essentially make the bases for the walls, or just chuck it all back in the garage. Because this layout, like in the past, I've made layouts which are bitten and batting. And, you know, and I've taken pride on being able to do it out of recycled materials. This one, I want it to be half decent. I want it to run well. I want it to look good, because essentially this layout is going to be one of the first things you see when you walk into the room. And I could do with some wood for either side as well, like a sheet to do like like some backing boards to make it all nice and enclosed. I'm liking that. I do like the enclosed layouts when they've got the sides. So yes, I might do that. I mean, like I said, I can jigsaw this together, and I have jigsawed things together. Let me grab you an example. So if you've watched any of the older videos, I can't remember how long this was on the layout. But I made this using various bits of polystyrene. And it was like a cliff face, and the trains went underneath it. I tried to see if it would fit on this layout, but unfortunately it doesn't. It was quite the chunky boy. And as you can see, I was quite happy with this. I thought this looked fantastic. I was really disappointed when it thingied. We've got a lot of kind of like plaster rocks, woodland ceiling mould rocks, and they've all been put together, and you got lichen, and then some of my homemade texture paste, which is basically PVA, water, bit of paint, and various different sands and stones, depending what you want it like. And then just a variety of paints and stuff like that. So I made this, and this, to me, I've seen worse professional pieces. I'm not saying that I'm a professional, and I'm not saying I'm fantastic. Every now and again I will throw out something that looks half decent, and I thought this one looked quite decent. But if you look at this one from the back, you just spin it round, that was basically, let me get it in shot. I think about, how many pieces we got there? 1, 2, 3, 4. That was a big block, wasn't it? 5, 6, 7 offcuts and pieces of polystyrene that were basically stuck together. Oh no, bit of dirt stuck together to make this. So I can do it, but the problem is I need a flat baseboard. So that's kind of where we're at the minute. I think we're going to get the insulation foam, and then at some point in the future I'll order another hot wand. So we'll come back probably tomorrow when I've actually got down the pieces and got them cut to size. Okay, so it is about 1:45, I think, on a Sunday afternoon. We've been to B&Q, and we've got some reticle pre-cut loft insulation boards. These are £7 from B&Q as it stands at the moment. I've got 3 of them. They are 50mm thick, so 5cm thick, 45cm wide, and 1.2 meters long, so 1,200 mil long. I've got 3. I could probably actually get away with 1, but this will be useful for like layering stuff up, and maybe other projects as well. We've had a quick tidy round, and all of the other materials are kind of in the corner there, because I needed to get to the other corner of the room to get some of my tools. So this is my jigsaw, cordless jigsaw. So we've got the cordless jigsaw out. That's what we're going to hopefully use to cut through this. I'm going to try it with a wood bit, like a fine tooth wood bit or a fine-ish tooth wood bit, and we'll see how we go. Now, these aren't the longest blades in the world. You could do this with a handsaw if you want. I've got an assortment of various other jigsaw bits as well, just in case. So yeah, we're going to kind of have a look at that. So I'm going to get it laid down on the board, which is this bit. And then we're going to kind of fasten it together. Now, most people recommend, that I've seen, because one of the most useful videos I've seen around 009 building is a YouTube channel called Western Signalman, and he's made a gorgeous 009 layout. It's based in a Welsh one. It's the Mid Snowdon Railway, and it's only a small layout, but it looks fantastic. It looks bigger than it is, so that's been a lot of inspiration. He's used loft insulation on his build, and the beautiful thing about watching other YouTube videos is you're learning from other people's mistakes. So he had some issues with the foam insulation, with it sticking together. He used grab adhesive. I think I've got somewhere some spray adhesive. Now that stuff is messy, but it sticks like bejesus, and it will stick pretty much everything to everything. I've used spray adhesive in the past. Well, I've used it quite a few times. So with the medieval reenactment for doing tent patches, it's really good as a quick patch. It sticks that it sticks it like glue. And many moons ago, when I used to work in an aluminium prefabrication factory, we used to do a lot of panels, which were essentially this type of foam. It was usually the blue foam, various different thicknesses, and what you used to use is you'd paint, because I used to work in the spray booth, used to paint the aluminium sheets whatever colour. They used them a lot for like walls, because we used to build a lot of football stadiums and that kind of area of kind of like the types of, hotels thingies, and you see a lot of metal plates, a lot of metal aluminium boards are used to on the inside. So they were basically a layer of foam, and then sandwiched between it two painted aluminium sheets. But this foil can be a bit tricksy. It does connect to electricity, as Western Signalman pointed out. So we're going to peel it off. Now, I was kind of thinking this is going to be a pain in the bum, but look, it comes off very easily, as tested on camera. So we'll do some peeling. I think what I'll do, because this is very handily got cut in, it's like gridded out. What are they, about 5 centimetres mainly? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, not 5 centimetres. So, yeah, I don't know how long they... Oh, no, they could be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. No, they're not 5 centimetres. They'll be whatever length, but the handy guiding marks for when I'm cutting with the old handy dandy jigsaw. So, enough waffle, more action. We're going to get it glued to the board. We're going to get it put out, cut to rough shapes, and then we'll get some gluing and whatnot done. Okay, so we've got the foam cut. One interesting thing I found about when you cut in this foam, if we lower the camera a little bit, is it actually, when you peel the foam off, it kind of, it's not that easy to see, but it bows when you do one side, and when you do the other, it kind of straightens itself out, because the joining line was originally pretty close together, but it was a bit wider, but that's fine because we can kind of fill that in. In that Gauge Master set, there was a grass mat, which things like that will help. So here's what we've done if we just kind of like come a little bit closer. Right. So at the minute, one of the tunnels I do have. Where's my pointy stick? I got a pointy stick. Here's my pointy stick. It's a wooden sword. It's a kid's sword. I got it from Northumberland. Well, I didn't get it from Northumberland. It was bought to me from Northumberland, but that's another story. So this tunnel is a tunnel from is it Javis Scenics? I picked it up a long time ago. Obviously, this is a proper full-size 001. Narrow gauge ones are obviously usually a bit more narrower. But it's what I've got. It works as a template. I can take this side off. And what I'm thinking, because I always like to have stories within stories, is, you know, why would there be a full-size tunnel in this particular area? And I think the idea would have been that originally the plan was to have a full-size railway that went up the mountain, and you know it'd be run by your kind of like austerity-style tank engines and stuff like that. But obviously, cost and actually getting it up there and stuff like that stopped them doing that. But they'd already built the tunnel or the tunnel mouth through this mountain when we get a mountain on. So I'm liking that idea. The other tunnel down there, because you're not really going to see it, that's probably just going to be a hole. I might do it as so that the other tunnel is going to be what kind of here-ish. So we've got this like disappearing scenic section that comes around there. We might have to remove this bit as well, but because otherwise this is going to be quite tight. This is going to literally go straight up to the rock face, but that might not be a bad thing. We shall see. You know, plans are always great until they're not, until you change them. So that's where we are with that. I've got to be quick because the camera battery's going a bit low. Next then, as I awkwardly move the character thingy. So one of the things at the minute, the problem I've got, the reason I'm not at work, is because there's something happened with the nerves in my back or somewhere in my body, and my left leg stopped moving, which is why you occasionally hear a shuffling sound, because I'm literally dragging it along. It's very annoying. But yeah, other little changes we've made. So the black line here is going to be kind of where we cut in and bring it out. The tunnel's probably going to be there. This will be like a little flat plateau, and then the bridge will come round. And I'm not making it as long. We're going to have the bridge come to about the focus on what I'm actually wanting you to focus on, damn camera. So this is going to actually be where the bridge stops, because I want the points on solid ground, so to speak. And we're going to look kind of cut round here. This gives us an opportunity to do some little bits in this area. We're going to have the river. It's probably going to maybe curve round here and kind of come up and then bow out. We're going to have a tiny little stream here, which is going to come out of the rock face. Ignore that one. And then the kind of river / brook. It's not going to be a big raging river. It's going to be quite a shallow river, you know, like you see high up Think of places like the Peak District, Edale, for one. I don't know if that's classed as a river, but it comes off the peaks. With this one, we might even see about a waterfall. I don't know, not 100% decided. And then we've got the controller bay. So this will probably be the controller we use for now. I would love if we use words. I would like to use my Gauge Master one, but the problem with using my Gauge Master one is it's a 2-track one, which is a bit of a waste for a 1-track layout because I didn't think it'd make much difference to how things operate, but it does. So yeah, this is then going to be all rocks, and then that gives us ample enough room to do some scenic stuff. It's not too big, it's not over the top. This bit will slope down slightly, or I might cut some stairs in it. Because like I said, I'd like this to be a bit of a wildlife reserve. And then over on this bit, we've got ample room for what we need, which is storage yard for the honey. Some mystery thing, which I'm thinking is going to be ruins now. Some sort of ruins, which again would make sense with the railway of why they've had to do this kind of like a bit of a weird detour round it. Like, because when they were coming through, they found they started clearing it and they actually found some ruins. Generally speaking, you find ruins, you're not allowed to bulldoze them over, although some people do. So yeah, and then we've also got enough room for the halt here, which is literally going to be like a plank floor and some planks over here. And then we've got enough of a bit here that hopefully I won't knock things over as I did on that layout, because that was one of the problems on Ham. One of the tracks came very close to the edge, and when you were leaning over, you used to hit it, or I used to hit it with my belly, the old paunch. But this one, I can quite happily get to the back. And the beauty about this one as well, we can pull it out. So there. So that's where we are at the minute. We've not stuck this foam down. It's loose. I think I'm gonna cut it first. I cut it with the jigsaw. Cut it really nicely. I need to transfer this line onto it, and then we are going to probably use that. It's from the works. It's £3. Now, if you are using this type of spray, this heavy duty, this adhesive spray, it's really good, but it can be really messy. You've got to kind of keep your eye on it. So I will be pulling the table out most likely, and hopefully not spraying the floor. I might even put a sheet down or something like that. But more on that in a little while. Okay, so we're back and we're doing it old school freehand. So everything's kind of cut out on the foam board, and we'll look at that in a minute. But while I've got the track plan on, we're just working out spaces, scales, and stuff like that. We've got some scenery buildings on just to kind of like work out what spaces we've got to work with. I'm hoping to use this, which is, I got this from, I think, the Battlefield line. It was just in a little bag. I think it cost me £1 with a bunch of other little terrain bits. Don't know what kit it's from, but it's kind of nice. It's got that rustic feel that I quite like. I've been looking at some wooden bridges. I think what we're going to do is have it broken up a bit, so like a wooden bridge with some substantial pillars, piles, whatever you want to call them. But the main thing I've been thinking about at the minute is kind of this bit here where the tunnel is. So I think I am going to use this tunnel. This side is potentially problematic, but what I'm thinking of doing is making a bit of a foam board case, and then we can decorate over it, which gives us potentially some more scenic, sort of like scenic areas. We can have some maybe raised up I don't know, maybe a little house embedded in the mountain, or some caves, or something that could show like why was ruins here? Was it like a religious thing? Was it a place of worship? Was it an ex-mining community? Or because you could do something like that. You could have a lot of fun with something on the back. Like if it came up there, you could put some caves and some caverns and stuff like that. I'm also thinking on here, because we've got quite a decent chunk, is I might carve out some like little bits in there and bury some. I don't even know if that showed, but yeah, but bury some like little things in it. I'll put some roots or something like that. Hopefully, I would like to keep. I mean, originally I wanted to keep the whole back. So if I just shuffle around here, as everything falls over, I wanted to keep this back section empty. So then if anything gets stuck, you can reach in. But I'm going to need some sort of support. I don't really fancy making a full-on thing. So I think if we keep this side empty, then I can at least get in or get a grabby thing, or, we've got room to thingy. But, I mean, hopefully, with any luck, all this bit, we hopefully won't get much derailment. There's no point. They're just quite strong curves. Maybe if I make this, I mean, in an ideal world, you'd make everything modular, wouldn't you? You make it lifting out, so you could just basically, there's a derailment. Or we might have to adopt like a pillar system down the back. It's just, the thing I'm worried about is the little clearances on here, down the back. Now, narrow gauge wagons and stuff like that, as is what they are there. If we go aerial wise, they're not very wide. So if we kind of like, I'm trying to disconnect. There we go. So we have got a lot of clearance, albeit, the corner, we've got a thingy for the corner. The inside's fine, it's this outside. So maybe if we add something as thick as a Sharpie in some strategic positions, that would clear it. So yeah, that's what we're working on in a minute. That's the issue we're working around, because on any Rails, obviously you put embankment and it shows you this nice tunnel, and then everything works out fine and that. But when you're putting it into practical methods, it doesn't always work out that way. But yeah, we shall see. This tunnel is probably not going to get used now. As much as I love the idea, it's just too wide. Now I've measured the width of that, which is 3 centimeters down the centimeter down there. So yeah, we've got some spaces. These are the same height as the tunnel, because I like the idea of it being a little shelf. We're using a bit of cardboard just as a rest. And then I thought I'd show this, what I'm doing, if we can get out of shadow. So all these are, I've drawn some lines 1 centimetre apart, and what that does is when you cut it, but don't cut it all the way through, it lets you make a curve. So the plan is, like, we can curve round a bit nicer. It doesn't matter that it's a bit creased, because we're going to thingy it. So basically all you do, 1 centimetre apart. I'm using a razor saw for this. You can use a knife. You just got to be really careful not to cut through the whole thing. So yeah, that's what we're doing at the minute. I should have planned this bit a little bit more, if I'm honest, and I could have potentially got some more supplies, but I didn't. So here we are, belting it and bracing it and seeing what happens. Okay, so never underestimate the power of building with foam and cocktail sticks. That looks a bit blurry to me, but oh well. Again, I'm doing this all a bit freehand for the simple reason that the tripod keeps getting in my way. So what we've done is we've done some minor checking of clearance. I think we're getting close to a point now where we need to basically hook up wagons. And to hold this in place temporarily, because I think what I'm going to try and do is when I go to the show at the weekend, is I'm going to see if they've got any narrow gauge tunnel entrances, or we might try and have a look a bit more into doing it. For the minute, I just need spacings, basically. Cocktail sticks in the bottom of there, so this will nicely fit in there, pretty much. And there we go. We've got at least a template of how this can run. Clearances all around here look good. We've still got space for the yard and that. Obviously, there's going to be about another 10 centimetre around there for scenery and that. We've got a room for a bit of a shelf along the top. And then we can basically make some sort of box, essentially, with enough room for the old hand to just about get in, or a pokey stick. Okay, right, so that's my tea ready, so we're going to leave it there for a little bit, and then come back to this later. So we've made a temporary, well, there probably will turn out to be a permanent solution. I think what we need to do is just utch up the track. I've lost my pointy stick, so we'll have to use the pointy finger. Move it up maybe just so it's a bit more central within this inlet. I've made I can't remember, there's a special join for these on there. Basically what we've done is we're making a foam board box. I wish this was a little bit longer, but ho-hum. I could always make another one. I obviously, with me limited in being able to get places at the minute, yeah, I'm kind of struggling a bit of not wanting to waste too much foam. In that drawer there, my sheet materials, I do have some more foam board. There's some scraps dotted about as well. There's some over there that we could always cannibalise, but I'm liking working with the nice new fresh stuff. A lot of this comes from the works. I'm working with A4 sheets. I prefer working with A4 sheets, and there's a good reason for that. So when you cut a large, let's get it in the light, a large sheet, the factory straight line, you're always cutting into it. So if your cuts are slightly off, which, inevitably they are, I mean, just look at the heights on these, you're never working from a straight line. Whereas smaller sheets, it takes a bit more effort because you've got to do more cuts, but you more guaranteed straighter edges. But that's by the by. Just put that there. So, yeah, we've got, that needs moving up a little bit. We've got this nice little run down there. What I'm probably going to do on the back is space out some struts so I can still get in on the back. And when we come to, gravity, come to doing this, I'm thinking, if we make this all nice and thingy, at the minute it's stuck in with cocktail sticks. It's got to come out anyway because we need to move our base template. I was a bit dubious of this base template and how useful it was going to be to start off with, but I'm glad I did it because it's actually turned out to be really useful. So yeah, we've got the template to come up, and then we'll look at the foam, and then I can stick these back in. These are basically just in with cocktail sticks. The holes are transferred to the foam, so I know roughly, where everything needs to be. They're surprisingly sturdy because we've got plenty of cocktail sticks. I'm actually running low on cocktail sticks, which is a thing in itself because I usually have thousands, or I did have thousands. For the controller area, I'm thinking about doing a similar thing of making a box section. And then we can just fill it with Gorilla foam or whatever it is. What Gorilla filler? That makes more sense. It sounds better. Gorilla filler. And we can kind of like come around and fill it all in. That'll give us his rockiness. Expanding foam is quite easy to carve away. It's messy, but you know, ho hum. We've got to make a little bit of a mess. On the subject of messiness, there's some little polystyrene dots, but cutting this foam is a lot nicer than polystyrene. I've been hoovering as I go, but I found it's a lot nicer to work with. That heavy duty spray, again, quite easy and controllable. I thought I'd made a proper boo-boo at one point. Oh no, I didn't. Because as I sprayed it out, it sometimes comes out in strings. It shot over the foam, right over in the direction of where the loco and the stock was being thingy. But that's by the by. And the only reason I kind of include these things is because they're all considerations to take into effect, you know, messiness and stuff like that. It's not always easy to be able to sort of say, well, I'll just make it in a workshop and stuff like that. Because, I mean, at the minute, I've got plenty of workshops outside, but the weather is horrendous and I don't really want to be in the freezing cold and then things get damp, dirty and stuff like that. And if you're doing it in situ, maybe you live in a little terrace. I used to live in a little 2-bed terrace. It's worth knowing, you know, the cleanup aspects of things. But that's where we are with this bit. So I'm going to remove this now, utch it up, and then mark out roughly where we need to be with the track. And then I think we're almost at a point where we can start laying track and maybe have a little test to make sure everything runs as we want it to. So yeah, I'll do that in a minute. Okay, so as you can see, we've set up a little bit of track because I just wanted to test the clearances. And I thought we'd end with a mini test. We've got half a loop going on and we've rigged it up with the Gauge Master. I really do like this controller. I think I'm going to get a single Gauge Master one or a walk around one. Because why not? They are a good controller. But that'll be in the future. Now, I've discovered something about my camera. We can do like a little focusy thing, which is good, isn't it? He says, right, so without further ado, here comes the little tally. Is it tally lin? Little tally lin, and as you can see, it runs so much nicer on the OO9 track. Goes over the points okay. Obviously, we need to glue everything down. I'm in two minds whether or not to mess around with point motors, if I'm honest. And if we just have it from this angle as well, it's very precarious with the camera placement. Just back it right round and then forward. As you can see, the clearances are lovely as we have a very blurry train. Another thing that I need is a macro lens. For my little camera. Say little. It's a big, fairly chunky DSLR. Sony A7. Do we look at that? All nice and clear. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that for this video. And then what we'll do is I will finish off this bit. We'll probably lay the track. Or we'll lay the track, we'll get the boxing done, and then we'll do the rest of the scenics. I'm not going to secure the track down. I'm going to try and pin it. I was looking at this 00 track. I think standard pins will go in that, which will be good to hold it in place, because that's what I mainly need at the minute, just something to hold it in place. So yeah, so I think we'll leave it at that for now, at our progress. Tell you what we'll do is we'll get the sheet out the way, just so we get a bit of a better look at what we've done. Okay, big final shot. So this is the project progress we've made. This has mainly been done today, so this has been done in what, 5-6 hours? When did we start? Call it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5 hours worth of work. Cutting, sticking, I have had my tea in that. I've had several breaks because my goddamn knee and back is killing. But yeah, so we've got some nice potential scenic areas as we come around here. There's a controller bay. This is going to be all nice and rocky, and then obviously built up round here. So next time you see this, we'll have some. So these little bits were going to be piles. I think they're called piles, piers, whatever they're called. The supports, bridge supports. So that's going to be on there. We might even have a full layout of track, but I'm wanting to try and document the whole of this, which is one of the things I did on Ham. I was just like, and this is what we're going to do, and then just did it without filming it. But I've got the time now to actually do it. So there we go. Thank you for watching, as ever, and until next time.